Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to weekly Bhagavad Gita class. We'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadate Shvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatatmatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nilachala Nivashaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Shubhadravhyam Jagannathaya Te Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we'll continue our discussion on the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So before the 6th chapter, we have discussed and completed the first 5 chapters. So initially, in the chapter 1, we have seen Arjuna is asking. So before Arjuna's question, there is a plot that Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra. Sanjay is narrating to Dhritarashtra whatever is happening in the Kurukshetra. So because Sanjay was the disciple of Vyasadeva, he got some special power so that he can narrate the things which are happening far away. Then we have seen the 4 arguments by Arjuna for not fighting. And the Supreme Lord answers this argument in the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And while answering these different arguments and refuting these different arguments by Arjuna, the Supreme Lord discussed about different yogic methods like Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Niskam Karma Yoga, Sakam Karma Yoga, like the different techniques, Buddhi Yoga, the Lord discussed. So the main message was, and Arjuna had a doubt multiple times that whether to work or renounce the work. Because Arjuna originally wanted to go away from executing the duty of fighting. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and the duty is to fight. But Arjuna did not want to fight. Therefore, he gave those 4 arguments, right? So after hearing the 2nd chapter, at the beginning of 3rd chapter, Arjuna had the same doubt, action or renunciation, whether to fight or not. So then the Supreme Lord explained that by analyzing different cases, that in all conditions you should fight. If you were qualified for Jnana Yoga, you are on the Atmaram platform, still you should fight because you want to teach others by your example. So you should do your duty. You should not be abstaining from your duty for the sake of educating people in general. And on the other hand, if you are not qualified, you are not at the Atmaram level, you should work for your benefit. So if you are qualified, work for others' benefit. If you are not qualified, work for your benefit. So in all conditions, Karma Yoga is better. And in the chapter 4, the Supreme Lord discusses about transcendental knowledge. So here, initially, the Supreme Lord discusses how Krishna is different from a normal living entity. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatpata tyakta deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. And then varnashram dharma is explained. Also karma, akarma, vikarma, these are explained. Then different yajnas or sacrifices different people do for attaining knowledge. So all those yajnas are explained. And then at the end of the 4th chapter, Krishna gave a simple formula for attaining knowledge. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Find a bona fide spiritual master who is coming into the disciplic succession and derive knowledge from him. So this is a simple method for gaining knowledge. At the beginning of chapter 5, Arjuna again gets a similar doubt. Arjuna wants to be reassured on that point, that action or renunciation, sannyas or karma yoga. Because Arjuna was thinking, I have to take sannyas from karma. Taking sannyas from karma means I will not work only. I will give up my duties. That was Arjuna's understanding. But Supreme Lord was trying to convince Arjuna that sannyas in karma. You should do karma with a heart of a sannyasi, so that you do not get attached to the fruits of action. You can dedicate or offer your actions to the Supreme Lord. So in the 5th chapter, in the 3rd chapter, Krishna explained why you should work, why karma yoga is better. In the 5th chapter, the Supreme Lord immediately gave the solution that no, you should not do renunciation, but you should do work. That means karma yoga. And that thing Krishna has also described about the different qualities of a perfect Niskam yogi, and how a Niskam yogi can get liberated by performing Niskam karma yoga. At the end of the 5th chapter, there is a very important verse. Bhuktaram yagda tapasham sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam yatma mam shantimicchati. If someone knows 3 things, he will attain peace. This is called the peace formula of Bhagavad Gita. First thing is Bhuktaram yagya tapasham. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all yagya and tapasya, all fire sacrifices and all austerities. Krishna is the supreme benefactor. And Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He owns everything, all the planetary system, all the universes. And that Supreme Lord is Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. The supreme personality of Godhead is the best friend of each and every living entity. So if your best friend is owner of the entire universe, then why to worry? If we have a best friend who is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram and who is Bhoktaram Yagitapasam, then we do not have any worry. And we know that everything is happening by the permission or sanction of Krishna. So whatever is happening to my life, Krishna must have sanctioned that. Therefore, that is happening. And because Krishna is my best friend, he will not sanction anything which is bad for me. Then we can be completely free from all worries. Because apparently things might be like, it may seem that things are going wrong. Some negative things are happening. Apparently it might seem. But if we have the faith that this particular thing also was sanctioned by Krishna, and Krishna is my best friend, he will not allow anything that will cause harm to me. He will not allow any injustice. So if something, I'm getting some pain, I should get that actually. No injustice is happening. Some people complain that why good things are happening to bad people, bad things are happening to good people. So many injustice is going on. So there is no injustice actually. We get whatever we are supposed to get, and whatever is necessary for our growth, that only we get. And Krishna sanctions that. So nothing bad is happening. It may apparently seem bad, but ultimately it is for our good only. If we have that faith, then we can go through any situation, will not be disturbed. So that's the thing, that's the peace formula. That is, if we apply that formula, we'll be peaceful in all conditions. In the chapter 6 beginning also, Krishna reiterated that point, that in Ashtanga Yoga, before going to this Ashtanga Yoga, this chapter 6 is all about Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. We started this, we continue today. So at the beginning, in the first verse of the 6th chapter, Krishna has reiterated the same point, Arjuna's recurring doubt about action or renunciation. So the Supreme Lord said, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karotija Sasanyasi cha Yogi cha Naniragnirna Chakriya. The Supreme Lord said, Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karotija. Anashrita, not being attached to the karma phalam, fruits of action, Karyam karma karoti ja. One who does all the activities. Sasannyasi cha yogi cha. He is the real sannyasi. He is the real yogi. Na niragnirna chakriya. Not a person who does not do any activity. That person is not a sannyasi. So Krishna is promoting sannyas or yoga. So apparently it may seem that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he is only promoting do karma, work, and he is not promoting the renunciation. So Krishna is not telling renunciation is bad, but you should not do a false you should not showcase some false renunciation. What is true renunciation? True renunciation means do your duty, but do not get attached to the fruits. False renunciation means I will not do my duty only. So Krishna says, do not do this, do not showcase this false renunciation. Do actual yoga and renunciation, and that is do your duty by dedicating that to the Supreme Lord and not getting attached to the fruits. So that is the true renunciation. Then we discussed that renunciation and yoga are same. Okay, renunciation means sannyas and yoga. They are actually same. A yogi is a sannyasi and a sannyasi is a yogi. And the common characteristics of them is they renounce the desire for sense gratification. The meaning of real sannyasi means we will not have the desire for sense gratification. It does not mean that we stop doing karma or we'll stop doing duties. We will still do duties, but we will not do the duties for our own sense enjoyment. Just like initially before becoming a devotee, what is our motivation for doing work? Earning a lot of money, getting big bungalow, cars, like that. Enjoy life. So that is called a bhogi. That is not like a yogi. So we are trying to do sambhog or enjoy ourselves. And that is the cause of all sufferings. So the mechanism for getting happiness is satisfying the Supreme Lord. If you try to satisfy yourselves, we get misery. That is the principle the universe operates on. I have given this example multiple times. Just like a finger, if it gets detached from your body and wants to get nourished individually, you cannot inject foodstuffs into that cut finger and it will not be nourished. The perfect nourishment for this finger is to get to remain attached to the body and serve the body. We are not injecting food directly to this little finger, but because this little finger is serving the entire body and the body is getting nourishment, and through the nourishment of the body, the finger gets nourishment. So the similar principle applies for us. If we want to get happiness individually by leaving Krishna, by forgetting Krishna, we will not become happy, but we will become miserable. Although it may seem that we will get happiness, but we will get misery. But if we serve Krishna, we'll be happy. So that is the true nature of a sannyasi or yogi. And in the sannyasa, there are, to become a perfect sannyasi or yogi, there is another method which has been Krishna is discussing that in this 6th chapter, that is called Ashtanga Yoga. And in Ashtanga Yoga, the name only suggests that Ashta Anga. So there are 8 limbs of the Ashtanga Yoga. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. So these are the 8 different steps of Ashtanga Yoga. First comes Yam. Yam means don'ts. For becoming a yogi, you have to give up certain things. Just like in Bhakti also, we have these 4 regulatory principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. So these are the 4 things we have to follow. We have to stay away from these things. We should not indulge into these things. So these are called yama or don'ts. Then there are do's. What practices we should do more, like chanting the holy names. That is the practice we should do. So there are yama niyamas, means the don'ts and the do's. Then comes asan. Asan is very important in Ashtanga Yoga. Asan means posture, sitting posture, like sitting with a straight back. And there are so many rules and regulations. It will be explained in a few moments by Krishna in this chapter, Asan. Then comes pranayam, controlling the breath. a yogi should be the yogi should have control over the prana vayu. So there is one devotee who is discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam called Dhruva Maharaj. He was also doing Ashtanga Yoga up to some extent. So Dhruva Maharaj had control over the breath. So Dhruva Maharaj did a severe tapasya. In the first month, Dhruva Maharaj was only taking fruits. In the next month, Dhruva Maharaj was taking, in the first month, he was taking fruits in every 3 days. In the second month, Dhruva Maharaj was taking roots of a tree in every 6 days. Once in 6 days, he will take only a root. In the next month, he increased tapasya and was taking only water every 9 days. Once in every 9 days, only water, 1 sip of water every 9 days. Then in the next month, he was taking 1 breath in every 12 days, like that. And then completely stopped everything. So how can a person live without taking breath? So yes, the yogis can. And therefore, this practice is called pranayam. You have control over your breath. You can control the breath. You can even stop that for some yogis. Even till date, there are some yogis in Himalayas. They can do all these things. So different stages are there. So this is the stage called pranayam. Yama, niyamas, do's and don'ts. And then asana or the sitting posture. And then pranayam, breathing exercises or breath control. And then comes pratyahar. Pratyahar means separating the sense from the sense objects. Whenever our senses come into contact with the sense objects, it gets attached. Like the tongue coming in contact with good foodstuffs, the tongue gets attached to that taste. The eyes get attached to seeing something beautiful. So this is how the senses get attached and hooked up in this material world by this interaction between sense and sense objects. So Ashtanga Yogi who wants to get liberated from this world has to disentangle the senses from the sense objects, and that process is called pratyahar. And once that stage is done, you are now an advanced yogi. So in this sloka, there are 2 levels explained. Arurukshar munere yogam karma karana muchyate yogadudasya tashaiva samakarana muchyate. So there are 2 levels, yoga rurukshu and yoga ruda. So the level yoga rurukshu means you are a beginner in Ashtanga Yoga. That means you are in the stages of yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar. Once you cross the pratyahar level, you come to this level of yoga ruda. Means you are now a master of Ashtanga Yoga, and soon you will attain perfection. Then the advanced 3 stages are dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Dharana means general meditation on the Paramatma. Dhyana means specific meditation on every limb of the Paramatma. And then samadhi means complete absorption in meditation of Paramatma. So these are the 3 levels. There is another measurement how you can evaluate yourself. You are in which level. So just like in the level of dharana, your attention span is around 12 seconds. Generally, a normal human being has attention span like 7 or 8 seconds. So what is the meaning of attention span? That on one particular thing you can concentrate without getting deviated or distracted for 7 seconds. No other thoughts are coming into your mind. So for normal living entities like normal human beings, it is around 7 or 8 seconds. But if you have developed that up to 12 seconds, you are on the level of dharana. In the level of dhyana, that gets evolved to 12 times 12, 144 seconds. More than 2 minutes. You are doing something. Suppose you are chanting the holy names, and for 2 minutes, you are only chanting. No other thoughts are coming into your mind. Then you are on the level of dhyana. And if you can do 12 times 12 times 12, 1728 seconds, that is around 25 minutes, more than 25 minutes. So you attain the stage of samadhi. If for 25 minutes your mind is not getting distracted to any other things, no other thoughts are coming, then you have attained the samadhi stage. So this is a rough evaluation you can make. to evaluate which stage we are in. So we have discussed up to this. Now, in the verse 4, Krishna explains more about this Ashtanga Yoga. Yada hinendriyartheshu na karmasya anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudastadutchate. A person is said to be elevated in yoga, having renounced all material desires. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in the fruitive activities. So a yoga rudha, on the level of a person who attained the stage of yoga rudha, I already discussed, that there is a stage in Ashtanga Yoga which is called Pratyahara. After you cross the Pratyahara stage, the Pratyahara means disentangling the senses from the sense objects. After Pratyahara, you are not attached to the material desires. The material desires will not, they will not agitate you, and you are not attached to the material happiness or sense gratification. So such a person in the Yoga Rudha platform neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So fruitive activities means activities which involve sense gratification. What is the opposite of fruitive activities? If such a person is not engaged in fruitive activities, in what activities the person is engaged in? So the person is engaged in the service of Krishna. Fruitive activities is completely opposite to service of Krishna. We're doing something. The name fruitive activities means I'm doing something for getting the fruit. Therefore, it is called fruitive activities. But in service of Krishna, I'm doing that activity to please Krishna. I do not need the fruit. I give up the fruit, that I give it on Krishna. If you like, you can make me successful. If you think, you can give me failure. Whatever you decide, I will accept that. But I am doing this for your pleasure. So that should be our motivation, and that should be our attitude while doing some work. Okay, in the next verse, Krishna says, Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam abhasadayet atmaiva ihatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam abhasadayet. Uddharet means one must deliver himself or the Atma with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So the human body has different components. First of all, we have this gross body. Okay. How to, and we only see this gross body, but there are other components as well. Gross body is there. Then there is mind. There is intelligence. There is false ego. And then there is the soul. So there are all these different components within this cage of body. But we only see one element. That is the gross body. And how to realize this fact? When somebody dies, all other components are missing, only the gross body is remaining. Right? So it is easier to comprehend what it means by mind, intelligence, false ego, and the soul. So the gross body means a dead body. That is called the gross body. And when the mind, intelligence, false ego, and the soul is within the body seems to be alive. And when they are missing, the body again becomes dead. So this gross body is like a gloves. If you are wearing the gloves and you are moving your fingers, then apparently it seems the gloves fingers are moving. The fingers in the glove, they are moving. But actually the glove was, in all time it was dead. When we were wearing the glove, at that time also it was dead. And when you are not wearing, that time also it is dead. It is always dead. But when you are moving your fingers through the gloves, it seems the glove is living. So similarly, this body is always dead. It may seem some shocking, but when the Atma is also present within the body is dead. But like the glove, Atma is operating the body, and it seems like the body is alive. And when the Atma leaves, immediately again the body comes into its original state, that is dead. So that is the phenomenon we have to understand, that Atma, by the process of transmigration, not only Atma, with these all three components, mind, intelligence, and false ego, goes into a new body, accepts a new gross body. Okay. So there are different components, and within those components, this mind, intelligence, and false ego, these three constitute the subtle body. So there are three things: gross body, subtle body, soul. And there are three components of the subtle body: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right? So now that mind is a very crucial element. And this mind you can utilize to deliver the soul. The mind can be utilized to degrade the soul. So therefore, controlling the mind is also one of the important aspects of Ashtanga Yoga. Mind control. So the essence of Ashtanga Yoga is sense control and mind control. So now Krishna talks about the mind control. So how can we understand the mind can be utilized to deliver the soul and also to degrade the soul? How is that possible? Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy here. So just like if you drink too much milk or if you eat too much ghee, which is a milk product, you may get stomach upset. But to cure that stomach upset, you have to take curd, which is also a transformation of the milk. So all these are the milk products. Some of them, if you take too much, it is causing you trouble. And some other form of the same element is relieving you from that trouble. So similarly, it is the mind only. If you use the mind in a particular way, the Atma will degrade. If you use the mind in another way, the Atma will be delivered. So what are that ways? So if you focus the mind to enjoy sense gratification, if you always plan sense gratification in your mind, that okay, I will do this, I will get some money, with that I will buy this car, and I will do this, I will break the regulatory principles, I'll go to the restaurant, I will do meat eating, I'll go to the casinos, I will do gambling, I'll go to the bar and do intoxication, I will go to the brothel and do illicit sex. If you make these plans with the mind, then you are degrading the soul. So very soon your human form will be snatched from you. Because although you are given this human form of life, you utilize that for sense gratification like an animal. So therefore, Krishna will say, you do not deserve this human form of life. So better go down to the animal forms. And it will take crores of years to come to the human form again. So that is called degrading the soul with the mind. And what does it mean by delivering the soul with the help of mind? Focus the same mind in the service of Krishna. You make plans for serving Krishna. Just a few days back, we had Janmashtami. So 1 month before, you should start planning what I will do for Janmashtami and make plans about service of Krishna. How will I manage? I have so many material duties to do, but within that also I have to manage my schedule. Give 30 minutes every day for the preparation. Buy new stuffs for decorating your altar. You think in your mind that how can I decorate my Gopalji? So all these things are called engaging the mind in Krishna's service. And this is how it is in this way you are using the mind to deliver the soul. And soon you will be getting out of this material world and going to the supreme abode of the Supreme Lord. You will get spiritual body. Right? So the human beings, they are very fond of being alive forever. There are many researches also going on, right? And this is in Sanskrit, it is called Amaratva. Everyone becomes to be Amara, means I will live forever. The demons like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they also wanted. We know the famous episode of Hiranyakashipu asking Brahmaji, and I want Amaratva. I want to live forever. Nobody can kill me. Give me that benediction. So Brahmaji told, I am not only Amar. I have a very long lifespan, but yet I have to die after a very long time. So I cannot give you that boon because I do not have that. But actually that is possible. So scientists are also trying to increase the longevity. They are trying to preserve different organs, and some scientific organizations, they are claiming that we will preserve your body forever, something like that. Some things are going on, and people are spending millions Like I heard in one very rich person, he told the scientist that after I die, you do your scientific research, I will fund you. You discover something that after I die, you will make me alive again. But the scientists could not do. They are trying hard. So Amaratva, or living forever, is a very attractive theme for human beings and also for the demons, which are discussed in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures. But this Amaratva can be attained by Bhakti Yoga. Once we perform Bhakti Yoga, so just now I told that if you plan for sense gratification, the human form will be taken away and you will be given an animal body. Similarly, if you engage the mind in Krishna's service, what you will get? You will get a spiritual body, which is Amar. In the spiritual body, you will live forever. And we are actually living forever. We are Atma. Atma never dies. But we keep on changing the body. The body does not live forever. But once you get liberated, you get a spiritual body, and that body lives forever. So you can live forever, but the process is different. The process is not, you cannot do that by any scientific discovery. You cannot do that by demoniac mindset. That is possible by Bhakti Yoga. So that is the effect. If you engage the mind in sense gratification, you are getting animal body. If you engage the mind in Krishna service, you get the spiritual body. You get out of this material world. And getting out of this material world means becoming free from all problems. Currently in this material world, in every step, we have a problem. Padam padam yad vipadam natisham. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Samasritaye padapallava plabam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam buddhir vatsa param padam yad vipadam natesham. So, Samashritaye padapallava plabam, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord by the process of devotional service. Although this material world is full of miseries, for that person, it is not full of miseries. The person will experience happiness in every step of life. So that has been discussed here. Krishna elaborates the same thing, that mind can be your friend and can be your enemy. Bandhuratmatmanastascha yenat vaivatmanajitaha anatmanastu satrutve vartitatmaiva satruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. If you can control the mind and engage the mind in Krishna's service, then mind is your greatest friend, best of the friends. But if you fail to control the mind will remain your greatest enemy. And the same mind will take you to hell. So controlling the mind is very, very crucial. But here comes Ashtanga Yoga versus Bhakti Yoga. Controlling the mind through Ashtanga Yoga is near to impossible. It can be done, but we cannot do that. The people in Satya Yoga, they could do. But for Kali Yoga people, by performing Ashtanga Yoga and controlling the mind is near to impossible. And Arjuna will tell that. After a few verses, Arjuna will admit that I cannot do. Although Arjuna is much more qualified than us, he is a person in Dwapar Yoga, very, very great warrior who has controlled all the senses. And Arjuna even defeated Lord Shiva. Once Lord Shiva came in disguise and fought with Arjuna. So that person is telling that Ashtanga Yoga is not for me and I cannot do. So for the Kali Yuga souls like us, there is no hope, right? So we have to understand this, and here comes the effect of Bhakti Yoga. So when you do Bhakti Yoga, you are not trying to control the mind yourself. Mind is a very obstinate object, and controlling the mind is very difficult. If you want to do it yourself by fighting with the mind, it is very, very difficult. But in Bhakti Yoga, what happens? You try to please the Supreme Lord. And by the blessings of the Supreme Lord, everything happens. This is a shortcut. You please the Supreme Lord, and by Supreme Lord's mercy, your senses mind will be controlled. Therefore, very easily, a person who comes to Bhakti Yoga, and once you start developing some relationship with Krishna, once you start loving Krishna, You cannot think of anything else other than Krishna. Your mind is hooked to Krishna by Krishna's mercy. So automatically you are saved from this burden of fighting with the mind and controlling it. So by Krishna's mercy, the devotees can do it very easily. So Srila Prabhupada says here, the purpose of practicing eightfold yoga is to control, that means Ashtanga yoga, is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. So currently this is happening. Currently, in the name of yoga, only they are doing yogasana. So one of the aspects, like Ashtanga yoga had yam, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And the goal of Ashtanga yoga is to get the darshan of Paramatma and get liberated from this material world. But people are focusing on that asana to keep the body fit. That is a required thing. That is a good thing to do. But that is not the ultimate thing. The ultimate thing is to realize the Supreme Lord. By keeping the body in good condition is not the ultimate goal of human life. So currently what has become the trend? Ultimate goal of life is sense gratification. And for that we are keeping the body fit. So the same activity of keeping the body fit is actually taking you to hell. If your goal is sense gratification, it is better that you remain ill. Having a fit body is not good if you have the goal of sense gratification. If your goal is to get Krishna, then you have a fit body and it will help you. So it is like you should not give much power to a demoniac person. If the person has some demoniac plans in mind, you should not give power to that person. That person may cause havoc to the society. Give power to the good people who have good plans in the mind. So if your ultimate goal is sense gratification, better that you stay bedridden. Then you will commit less sinful activities. And that is your good. So the people who has the goal as sense gratification, they should not perform this yogasana actually. Performance of yogasana making them more fit, and with that fit body they are doing sense gratification. They are doing illicit sex. They are taking so many nonsense activities, taking to nonsense activities. And they are simply wasting the human form of life. So having a fit body is good, but your purpose should be very pure. With that fit body, you should serve the Supreme Lord. And who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy. And thus, his life and his mission are spoiled. Uncontrolled mind is like a greatest enemy. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. So currently our mind is uncontrolled, and whatever mind is instructing us, we are doing. Mind is telling, I want momos. We order momo immediately. Mind says that I want to study today. Don't want. I want to see some cinema. We are supplying movies immediately. So we have become servants to the mind. We cannot do any activity on our own. If mind wants, then only we do. So we have become slave of the mind. So in this condition, how can we follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Once we control the mind, then we are free from mind's dictations. And now we are eligible to follow the Supreme Lord's dictations. So that has to be done. Real yoga practice entails meeting of the Paramatma with the heart, Paramatma within the heart, and then following his dictations. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. So in Ashtanga Yoga, it is very difficult to control the mind, and because you are fighting with the mind yourself. But if you take to Krishna consciousness, it happens automatically by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So in the initial days, what should we practice? That what Krishna says, I will do that. And as Krishna's representative, Vaishnavas are instructing us, the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Arjuna had Krishna. We may not have Krishna in front of us, but Krishna is there as Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is there as Vaishnavas. So what we should do, we should follow the instruction of the Vaishnavas. Ignore the mind. The mind will say, no, I don't want to follow. Ignore the mind. Keep the mind aside and just follow the dictations Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita and the dictations of the Vaishnavas. In the initial few days, you have to do this practice by ignoring the mind forcefully. Ignore the mind and forcefully execute what you are instructed to do by Krishna and the Vaishnavas. Then after a few days, you will feel much more stronger that mind is not able to dictate you and you can control the mind. So that is the process. Then Krishna says, Jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkhesu tatha manapamanayo. For one who has conquered the mind, if you have conquered the mind, what will happen? The super soul is already reached. Once you have conquered the mind, now you can hear the voice of super soul. For he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor, dishonor are all the same. So in such a condition, when you have controlled your mind and you are directly connected to Paramatma, you can hear the voice of Paramatma. At that stage, all these dualities will not affect you. Happiness, distress, heat, cold, honor, dishonor, they will be all the same. That means you are a free person now. No tribulations in this material world can affect you anymore. You are liberated soul. Jnana vijnana triptatma kutastha vijitendriyam yukta ityachute yogi samalostra kanchanah. So we are now discussing this 1 to 9, right? So jnana vijnana triptatma, a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or a mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So he is not attracted to any object in this material world. He is similarly attracted to the pebbles and he is similarly attracted to the gold. He does not have a bhogi person who is after sense gratification. He will be very interested in gold and he will not be interested in the pebbles or stones. But a liberated soul is not attached to anything. Obviously, he can use the gold in Krishna's service. He will do that. But he does not have anything to do with gold personally. He is not in need of gold personally. Whatever he gets, he will use in Krishna's service. Okay. So the pebbles also he will use in Krishna's service. The gold also he will use in Krishna's service. Like with the bricks, we make the Bedi for the yajna. Whenever some fire sacrifice happens in the temple, you can see with the bricks we made the yajna Bedi. So that is using the bricks in Krishna's service. And with the gold money, we can also use that in Krishna's service. A liberated soul does not have to do anything personally with these things because he does not have the desire for sense gratification. And such a person is called a yogi. So therefore, this is a very important verse. Srila Prabhupada quotes, book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated in as follows. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai sevan mukhe hi jivhado swayameva spuratyada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of name, form, quality and pastimes of Shri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Currently, we have materially contaminated senses. We do not have spiritual senses. And Krishna is spiritual. How can we understand Krishna with these material senses? Not possible. But then what is the way out? How can we understand Krishna? Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord, are the transcendental name, form, quality and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So, sevan mukhe hi jivha do. The jivha or the tongue has two things to do. Do. By engaging the tongue. So, we are telling again and again that you should not do sense gratification, you should do Krishna's service. Krishna's service. So, how to do Krishna's service? So, in this verse, Rupa Goswami says Krishna's service starts with two things. Krishna's service starts with the tongue. One of the service of the tongue is to chant the holy names of the Supreme Lord. Another service is accepting Krishna Prasad. Offer foodstuffs, whatever you are eating, the Supreme Lord, and accept Prasad. If you chant the holy names and accept Prasad with the tongue, then your devotional service begins. And with that devotional service, automatically the Supreme Lord's name, form, quality, and pastimes will be revealed to you gradually. That's the way. So let's complete this section, which is advancing in Ashtanga Yoga from Yoga Rurukshu to Yoga Rudha stage, 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, meditation on the Supreme and controlling mind and senses. So this is one section of chapter 6 will complete. And then in more detail, Ashtanga Yoga is coming, 10 to 32. And then Arjuna will give feedback after hearing all this, that this is impossible, O Krishna. Okay, so here in the 9th sloka, Krishna says, Shuhin mitrari udishinam madhyastha deshvabandhushu sadhusvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. So this is another aspect of advancement and another symptom that you are advancing yoga. So the first aspect was you are considering all the different objects, pebbles, stones, gold as the same. You are engaging everything in Krishna's service. Higher than that is you are also treating all persons equally, treating all objects equally. In the previous verse, in this verse, Krishna says treating all objects equally. In the previous verse, it was all objects equally. Here, Krishna says all the different persons, honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral persons, mediator, envious persons, and the friends and enemies with an equal mind. So what does it mean? Doubt may come that I should do the same behavior towards friends and enemies. How is that possible? No, that is not the purport of this. Therefore, we need bona fide acharyas to understand every verse. If we just read this verse, we will say that, oh, Krishna is telling behave equally towards friends and enemies. So I can reveal some secret to my friend. Should I do that to enemy also? No, I cannot reveal the secrets to the enemies. The enemies will destroy me. So what is the purport of this? That I do not have any personal grudge to anyone. Even for the enemies, I will pray to Krishna that give them sadbuddhi, give them some kind of devotion in their heart, so that their character is transformed. So on the level of praying to Krishna and wanting I will only want everyone's benefit. I will never pray that Krishna please destroy that person because he is my enemy. I have to think that, okay, my enemy, there is some enemy, he is envious of me because of some ignorance, some anartha in the heart. So I will pray to Krishna, Krishna please destroy the anarthas in the heart of such and such person. So in this way, I am treating everyone equally because I know everyone is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And they have got this material body, which is made of ignorance. And due to that ignorance, they are behaving differently. But actually, they are also, every living entity is equal. Even my enemies, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. And my friends are also part and parcel of Krishna. So in that way, they are equal. And I will pray to Krishna for my friends and enemies both, so that they become better from their current status. So in that way, I will treat them equally. But obviously, on the practical platform, I cannot treat them equally because that will be disastrous for me. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse. It mentions what are the different activities of a preacher. A preacher is called a Madhyamadhikari. A Madhyamadhikari preacher has to deal with 4 categories of person differently. Prema, Maitri, Kripa, Upeksha. Towards the Supreme Lord, a preacher will show prema or love. Towards the devotees, a preacher should show friendship. A preacher should be friend with the devotees. Prema Maitri, Kripa. For the innocent persons who do not know about the Supreme Lord, a preacher will show his mercy and inform that about the philosophy and the science of the Supreme Lord. So that is called Kripa. And for the envious person, a preacher should ignore them. Do not speak anything of Krishna. So externally, the preacher is differentiating and behaving differently with all the different categories of person. But actually, they are treating them equally. It is for their benefit. How? So for the innocent person, a preacher is educating them in the science of the Supreme Lord. By educating them in the science of the Supreme Lord, the preacher is bringing that soul near to the Supreme Lord. By ignoring the envious person, the preacher is benefiting them. If you say about Krishna to an envious person, his envy about Krishna will increase. So if you speak about Krishna to an envious person, you are sending that person far away from Krishna. By ignoring that person, you are allowing that person to come closer. He will gradually understand in staying in this material world by getting kicks from Maya, he will understand that, okay, Krishna consciousness is required. So by educating the innocent person, you are bringing them towards Krishna. By ignoring the envious person, you are bringing them towards Krishna. So you are treating them equally. But externally, you have to differentiate in your behavior. Your goal is everyone should get closer to Krishna. And you are also including the envious persons in that goal. But for that goal to be satisfied for the envious persons, your activity should be different. So in this way, our liberated person is treating everyone equally. We should not misunderstand this verse as, okay, Krishna is telling, deal with the friends and enemies in equal way. No, I think it is clear. So we'll complete the next section in the next class, where Krishna will describe in more detail about the Ashtanga Yoga. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol. Any questions?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, you just the last stanza, last verse which we went through. उसमें ऐसा बोला गया, I mean, as you said, कि we have to ignore the envious person.
Yeah.
But as you said, just to be clear, कि we have to think and pray to Krishna to give more enlightenment and knowledge.
Yeah.
To this person to whom we have ignored, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can pray for them from behind. We should not say anything in front of them about Krishna, because otherwise they will blaspheme Krishna more. A person who is atheistic, demoniac, if you glorify Krishna in front of that person, he will be more agitated and blaspheme Krishna more, which will bring more inauspiciousness to that person. So we want everyone's benefit. So to benefit the envious persons, we have to ignore them.
Yes. So, Prabhu, what I have experienced is, it's very hard when we get into touch with this envious person who is materialistic. When I get back to the from material consciousness to the Krishna consciousness, after spending few hours or the day, it's very hard. Like it takes like half an hour or 1 hour. I listen to lecture, I listen to the Krishna conscious lectures, and then I get back to the original position. It's not quick. So should we be in continuation to get into touch with the not the envious person, but the materialistic person, or or the person who is envy about us? So this is the other part of question, but getting back to the original mode of Krishna conscious. Yes. So what we should do in such type of conditions? What I do is just listen to the lecture and get back to the original state which I was in whole day. But even with for 1 hour, if we go in the whatever in the
association of the materialistic
Yes,
person.
association, exactly, association of material.
Yeah,
it's
so
very
what you
hard.
can do here, the thing is, the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, he will not get agitated, even if he spends 24 hours or 1 year with a materialistic person. And eventually it may happen the materialistic person will get converted to a great devotee. So that is the power of pure devotees. But it is true, whatever you are experiencing, it is supposed to happen. That in the initial stages, we get very affected by the consciousness of materialistic persons. And then it takes some time to come back to our original consciousness. And what you are doing is the best thing. By hearing lectures and also by chanting the holy names, you can quickly undo the effects of this materialistic person and you can come back to the original stage. But with time, you will get more stronger. Okay. And when we get more stronger, what will happen? Suppose you have the association of a materialistic person for 1 hour. Now it is taking 30 minutes to come back. So when you get stronger, it will take 5 minutes to come back. And then you get more stronger, it will take 1 second to come back. And then you get more stronger, you never your consciousness never deteriorates from the original Krishna conscious position. So with time it will happen. But we should also understand that we have to minimize our association as much as possible and deal with these persons professionally, as I also try to do, because everyone is not a devotee in our field of work. So we cannot expect in everywhere they are doing kirtan and all those things. So we have to deal with them, do that professionally. And I do not make any, like, I do not spend any personal time or anything like that. Whatever required for my profession, minimum requirements, I spend time with them very professionally, only work, other discussions. So we should not take association. Association means when you speak your heart to some person and that person also speaks their heart, then you are doing association. These things should not be done with a materialistic person. You should not open your heart to a materialistic person. That's the thing. Deal them professionally, absolute professionally. Open your heart only to a devotee. That's the solution.
Yes, Prabhu. And as far as in case of envious person, as you said, we can just give a good thought to to Krishna and ignore in such a way that it's not hurtful
Indirectly,
to them.
like if you have the opportunity, you can feed them prasad. If you tell them it is a prasad, they will not take. So do not tell them. You give them prasad if you are in that platform. So in that way, you are benefiting them directly. And if that is also not possible, just pray to Krishna that Krishna please enlighten this person.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yes.
Yes. Kaushiki, you had a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. I had a question that what is Atma Rama platform?
Okay, yeah, very good question. So Atma Rama platform means the word Atma Rama. Atma means self and Rama means pleasure. So one who is satisfied in the self or one who gets pleasure in the self, that person is called Atma Ram. So just like for currently, for getting happiness, we do so many things. We go out with friends and we try to enjoy. We go to movies, we go to different places. We try to eat some palatable food stuffs. So many external ways we are trying to become happy. If you just sit in one place, you are not happy. But you have to do all these things, all these material activities to become happy. And that happiness is also very temporary. But one who is in the Atmanam stage, if he wishes to become happy, he just sits down in one place and thinks about Krishna and glorifies Krishna, thinks about the pastimes of Krishna, and he goes into samadhi and experiences transcendental bliss. So such a person is called Atmaram. So you can get happiness anywhere, anytime, and that also permanent, unlimited happiness. That is a Atmaram stage, that you do not need anyone for your happiness. So currently we see that the number of Atmarams are reducing in this world. I often say people telling that I am feeling alone, I don't feel loved, like this kind of things. But if you can love Krishna, all the deficiency of your love will be fulfilled by Krishna. If someone is telling I am not feeling sufficiently love, that means you are not able to love Krishna. You are not connected to Krishna. Because if you are connected to Krishna, all the love requirements will be fulfilled. Because Krishna is the infinite source of love. And no one can love us like Krishna will love. Because we want someone perfect. We want someone who will understand us completely, who will not judge. We have so many requirements for an ideal person in our life. And we try to find that ideal person within our relatives, friends, but none of them are perfect. So one day you realize, oh, I thought this person is good, but this person is very, very demoniac. The person has this flaw. This person also cheated me. Oh, then we get hurt. So this is your misconception from the beginning only. No person in this material world are perfect. Actually, we are finding Krishna. We all are finding a perfect person, and that perfect person is Krishna, but we do not know. We want to find that perfect person within this material world, and then we get cheated. Nobody in this material world can meet our expectations. Only Krishna can. So therefore, we have to get connected to Krishna. And by getting connected to Krishna, we will also reach the level of Atmaram, when we do not need anyone, we do not need anything for our pleasure. And that stage is called Atmaram.
Yes, Prabhuji, one more question, that ISKCON is organizing here a competition like for where I participated for shloka chanting, and any shloka from chapter 9 we could take. So I was just asking you that how can we like sing shloka 9.10?
Okay, shloka 9.10. Let me share the screen. Yeah. This is also a Anushtup Chanda, means 8 syllable per line. Okay. Are you in the Sanskrit class by any chance?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, your mother is there, so you can ask. So this is a Anushtup Chanda, is called like 8 syllable per line. So you can sing like this. Mayadhakshena prakriti shuyate sacharacharam hetunanena kvanteya yagad viparivartate. Okay. And there are many other tips for singing the Anushtup Chanda. Like Mayadhakshena prakriti shuyate sacharacharam hetunanena kvanteya jagad viparivartate. So whatever tune you are like, you can pick them.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. I'm very happy that you are chanting the shlokas so nicely, participating in different competitions. Keep it up. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you all very much for attending the session. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।